Good afternoon and welcome to the 2025 FFA Swine Showmanship Competition. We would like to thank you all for joining us this afternoon, and we'd like to give a warm Nebraska welcome to our judge, Brock Herron.
Really good way to begin here as we start in the out of school age kids as we get going here in showmanship. I thought really a nice set of exhibitors that came through the ring. I'm going to keep one to rework in the total final drive. I just thought he was the smoothest and the most effortless and really stood out from the pack from a positive standpoint. Young lady right here, I thought she got close, maybe stopped and went just a little more than I prefer. Other young lady right here I thought was close as well. I like her ring positioning. Once again, needs to be a little smoother. I would like that pig to be a little darker and in terms of his skin, a little more naturally, a little less color and stuff like that and paint on him. I do feel like that's an aspect of showmanship that I feel is very important. But I thought a really good and a strong way to start here in showmanship. Let's congratulate these kids with a big round of applause, if you would. Another really strong set of out of school kids here to go through. We're going to keep one back again, once again, from this particular class. I do feel like there were two that got close. Young lady right here with the red bear. Initially, when she first came in, she caught my attention. I liked her intensity. I liked her focus. Maybe kind of was a little lackluster from there on out. Young lady right here is one that I also liked. I feel like that hog's got a good look to her, and she does a lot of things just from a presentation standpoint and ring positioning. I definitely like. Maybe to me, I'd like to clean up her skin and hair and make that just a little bit better, and also make her drive a little more confidence. But I felt like they got close. Strong set without. Or throughout, I should say. Congratulate those kids with a big round of applause, if you would, please. We're here in the third and final heat of the out-of-school kids. I'm going to keep two out of this particular heat. I thought it was really a good set of them in terms of depth, and those two stood out on a positive from a positive standpoint, I felt like. But these kids did a nice job as well. Give them a big round of applause, if you would, please. I feel like really an outstanding set of showmen that we got out here in this out of school division. Sorry that doesn't come off quite as smooth as what I would like. I'm first time for out of school kids for me, but young man right here is going to win. I think he does a great job from the time he comes in to the time he's going out the gate right there. He's got that Gilt's positioning really nice within the ring, mixes up the views, and the hog's presentation in terms of skin and hair is as good as anything within the drive. Young lady right here is going to go second. I really like her her demeanor and her calmness. She gets that Gilt moving around the ring, but also at the same time she wants to stop and go just a little bit, and that's a major difference between her and the young man that wins. And also, I just felt like that hog had some chips up on her legs and wasn't quite as dialed in terms of her hair coat. Young man right here is going to go third. He knows what he's doing. You can tell he's been in the ring quite a bit. He's very confident. Maybe that hog just needs to get going just a little bit better for me, but I think he does a very nice job. Young lady right here that comes in fourth, this hog's skin and hair is absolutely dialed in. I really appreciate that. She spent a lot of time working on this pig, and I can tell she moves him about the ring really well, but I felt like in this set was probably fourth best in that regard. Congratulations to all those kids. I look forward to the next set. Another really nice heat here as we get into the next division. I believe these are seniors. I'm going to keep 4 back, which is quite a few usually for me, especially when we're just picking 1 overall. I thought it was a nice heat, and those young people did a really, really good job. I think these young people did a nice job as well. Maybe just fell short just in terms of control and maybe the control of their pig, their ring positioning and skin and hair. I would say those are probably the collective things I'd just like to make a little better here, but still I thought they did a nice job. Congratulations to all them. Another really, really good heat. I'm going to keep 3 back to rework here in the top few overall in just a second. I thought these kids did a really nice job, though. Let's congratulate them with a big round of applause, if you would, please. Really good set of showmen here to go through. And I placed the top three. I really wanted them to know where they're at, or those top three. I felt like those probably broke away from the competition once they got out here. I felt like they did a really good job. And it's just small things that really split those three. Young man right here is going to win this particular drive, really from the start to the finish. He was the winner for me. His initial view was by some margin better than the rest. You can tell he's practiced. He knows what he's doing, and he gave me all the views that I would like. He continued that from start to finish. And also, the pig's skin and hair is just immaculate. The one that comes second here, the young lady, I really liked her initial view in the heat really well. Maybe less so in this second drive in this particular heat, but I think that hog's skin and hair is really dialed in. She gets a lot out of that Gilt in terms of pace. I think she does a really nice job. Young lady that goes third here, you can tell she's an excellent showman. I just felt like maybe in this case, I'd like to change your whip, and I think that would help you quite a bit. The Gilt's nose is pointed down quite a bit. I'd like to maybe tilt it up just a notch more. I think that'd give you a little more control. But I thought a great set of showmen here. Congratulations to all of them.
Congratulations to Ryder Brubitz from the North Bend FFA chapter for being the champion senior showman. We'll now be showing the junior class division with Class 1 in the South Ring.
Well, as we get started here in the, I believe, juniors or next division, whatever this is categorized as, I think a really good place to begin. We kept four, or I did, we kept four, or I kept four out of this particular group to rework here in just a little bit. I thought a really strong set from start to finish. A few of these I definitely got close. That young man there with the blue gilt, I thought he did a nice job. Maybe just suffered just a little bit in terms of positioning. I'd like to tighten that up just a little bit. But I feel like these kids did a great job. Let's congratulate them on a job well done with a big round of applause, if you would, please. We're in the final heat of the junior division. I think a really nice set, a big group of them that came through the ring. I pinned two of them back. I felt like those really broke away from the pack just in terms of the quality of showmanship that they presented today. Young lady with kind of the Calico Bear is another one that got close, I felt like. Maybe just not as good in terms of just hitting the spots as quickly and as efficiently as what I prefer. But I thought a good set of juniors here. Give them a big round of applause if you would, please. That's a really tough division. I really felt like it's a really tight race within the top three as we get them back out here. Young lady there in the corner is going to win this particular drive. I really like just her ability to navigate the ring, but remain very calm, keep that pig at the right kind of pace, and she mixes up her views really well, and she really does a lot of the very little things so right. Young lady right here that goes second, she does an incredible job as well. I really like the fact that you can tell she's here to win, and she wants to win, and I appreciate that as much as anybody. That hog's skin and hair is so good. I really like the fact that she's mixing up her views and works the entire ring. Ever so slightly, that pig gets a little bit out of control at times. That she likes to move fast, which is great, but she just gets a little bit antsy from time to time. The blue masked one right here that goes in third, young lady that drives it, does a great job. I feel like she works the ring really well. Maybe doesn't mix up reviews quite as much as what I would like. I have to walk around just a little bit more, but at the same time, really a strong set of showmen, really from top to bottom here. Congratulate all of them with a good round of applause, if you would, please.
Congratulations to Taryn Sudik of the Bishop Newman FFA chapter for being your grand champion junior showman.
Another really tough set of showmen that come through in this particular age group. I'm going to keep 4 to rework in the top end of this particular drive, but I feel like I probably could go deeper. But at the same time, I think those 4 did break away, and they're the ones we need to rework later. But these kids have done a great job with their projects as well. Congratulate them as they head back with a big round of applause. Well, I'm going to keep 3 out of this particular heat to rework, but let's congratulate all those kids that remain here in the ring, if you would, please. Once again, a really, really competitive heat, and I placed the top 3 once again here in this particular heat. And the young man on the far side, he's going to win this drive for me. I really like just his willingness to win is clear to me, but also at the same time, he's put in the time at home to make that Gilt drive the way she does. That Gilt skin and hair is so good, and you can tell he's very comfortable in the ring. He's done this before. Congratulations to him. Young lady with the black Gilt right here is going to go second. I think she does a tremendous job as well. She moves that Gilt about the ring really, really good. That Gilt's pace is good, probably even a little better than my choice within this particular class. Maybe she could mix up her views just a little bit, and probably she does bounce back and forth on either side of that pig's body, maybe a little better than my choice that won this class, but at the same time, I didn't know if she was quite as consistent as my winner. Young man right here is going to go third. I thought he did a great job, really moves this hog back and forth really good. I'd like to mix up those views, but at the same time, skin and hair is dialed in. He knows what he's doing. He's very confident. I like that. Congratulations to all these kids. maybe not the numbers we've had in some of the other classes, but quality is still very high. I'm going to keep 2 to rework as we continue here in this particular division. I believe these are freshmen. Congratulations to all these kids. Let's give them a hand for all their efforts, if you would, please. I guess similar to the last tee, there were 6 kids that came in the ring. We're going to keep 2 to rework and the top end of things later. Congratulations to all these kids. I appreciate their participation. Give them a hand if you would, please. I thought a really good set of freshman Schwein showmen to go through in this particular division. Young lady with the all-black bear is going to win right here. She just does a really good job. I love that pig's skin and hair. Her ring positioning is good. She mixes up her views really good. But more than anything, she's just under control, really as good as anybody within the drive. Young man right here is going to go second. I hog really moves at the right kind of pace. I hog skin and hair, once again, is just really, really good. He's really tried hard, and I appreciate that. Maybe we can mix up those views a little bit, hit those spots just a little bit quicker, but at the same time, I think you do a nice job. Congratulations to you. 3 and 4 are very similar, pretty laid back kind of guys. They've got their pigs pretty well dialed in. Maybe just need to be a little more aggressive, get them going just a little bit more, but at the same time, you can tell they're headed in the right direction in terms of showmanship. Congratulations to all those freshmen. Really good numbers as we start here in the junior high division. I'm going to keep 3 to rework. I thought those 3 really did a nice job, as did these kids. Maybe just missed out just on little things in terms of skin and hair, ring positioning, coming out of the gate with kind of a purpose, but at the same time, let's give them a big round of applause for all their efforts. They've done a nice job as well. Congratulations to them. Another really strong set of exhibitors as we continue here in junior high showmanship. Let's congratulate all these kids that remain in the ring with a big round of applause, if you would, please. I'm going to keep one back from the final heat in the junior high division, then we'll rework the top end. But let's congratulate the kids here that remain in the ring from this final heat. This young lady right here is going to win the junior high showmanship. I think she does a great job, much like many of these kids in this particular drive. She comes to the ring. Her initial impression was awesome. I really like that pig's skin and hair. And really, she maneuvers the ring pretty flawlessly and keeps that pig really headed in the right direction very, very consistently. I thought 2 and 3 got a little closer. Young man in the, with the moderate belted gilt on the far side, he's going to go second. I like that hog's skin and hair really good. He maneuvers the ring pretty good. She gets a little bit faster ever so slightly from time to time. I really don't mind that, but in this situation, kind of the small things hurt you just a touch here. Young lady right here is going to go third. When she first came through the gate, when in her initial heat, she was that was the perfect view. I thought she did a great job. Maybe not as great in the second half of the drive. Got a little more inconsistent. Maybe not as in control, you could say. But she knows what she's doing. I like that hog's pace and speed. Skin and hair is really good. But I think these kids did a great job in this particular heat, especially. There was lots of competition. Congratulate all of them with a big round of applause, if you would, please.
Entering the north ring now is our champion showmanship drive. Representing the out-of-school swine showman is Zane Sims of the Loop City FFA chapter. Congratulations to Ryder Brubitz of the North Bend FFA chapter representing the senior division. The junior division is represented by Taryn Sudik of the Bishop Newman FFA chapter. Congratulations to the sophomore swine showman, Leighton Schroeder of the West Point FFA chapter. Your grand champion freshman showman was Leah Hartman of the Logan View FFA chapter. And congratulations to Gemma Clement of the Central FFA chapter for representing the junior high division.
This gets really tough. All these kids came out of heats that were really challenging and had lots of competition throughout. Before we select the champion, let's congratulate these kids with a big round of applause. It definitely took a lot of hard work to get here. It is close when we get them all back out here and rework the top end from all the particular different age groups as we go through, and I think there are several that are definitely in contention. They're obviously really good at what they're doing, and they probably won and went back and forth throughout the year so far. But the one I think did the best job today. I'm not saying the other guys didn't do really well, because it is the small things and the little details that split the stuff once you get to this level. The person in this group that I like the best is a young man right here from the senior division.
Thank you. Good job.
Congratulations to Ryder Brubitz of the North Bend FFA chapter for being the Supreme Champion Swine Showman. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2025 Nebraska FFA Swine Breeding Show. We'd like to welcome our judge, Brock Herron. Brock lives in Minco, Oklahoma with his wife, Callie, along with their two sons, Fisher and Hart. He is a national champion livestock judging contestant at Redlands Community College and judged at OK State University as well. He is an ambassador with Purina Honor Show and runs Heron Genetics. In Brock's spare time, he enjoys judging shows around the country and going golfing with his friends. Let's give Brock a warm Nebraska welcome. We would also like to make everyone aware that you're able to watch the shows live at ringsidelive.co.
Well, I think a really challenging class to start here in the Berkshires, and I'm not really a Berkshire person. I don't see them all that often, so it takes me a second to kind of gauge the situation. When we get these top four out here, I think it is tough. There's multiple ways you can go. I like this Gilt here to win this particular drive from the side. She fits me in terms of her design, her top line, her stoutness, and just her proportionality, really as well as anything. The shape she has to her shoulder and center body really fits me and works well. The stoutness and her muscle match and proportion out quite nicely. I do wish her loin was a little bit better, and honestly, during the first half of the drive, I questioned her back leg just a little bit, but at the same time, the second half of the drive, her rear leg's probably as good as anything. The one here that goes in second, I think this one has parts and pieces that I definitely like. I like her moderation, her rib design, her extra shape to her mid-body. Her look from her shoulder forward is really as good as anything within the class. Maybe gets a little slinky backed and a little bit different in the way she sets her hip and hind leg down, but I think her moderation, just width, really suit me very well. Young man right here that goes third, this one's got great stoutness to her skull, a huge forearm, big-footed kind of a gilt. Love that gilt, skin and hair really, really well. A little bigger in terms of her outline, a little drier in terms of her rib cage. I would like her to set her hind leg just a little bit different as well. The next one here that comes is really sound, really long striding, really a muscular, growthy kind of gilt, and I definitely like that about her. I just didn't know if she was stout enough, structured, heavy enough duty, or wide enough as she came right at me. But I thought a really good class of Berkshires from start to finish. Congratulations to all these kids.
Congratulations to Adam Alfs of the Shickley FFA chapter for exhibiting your grand champion purebred Berkshire Gilt.
Only one class here in the Chesters to go through. I do think there is some trade-offs within the top end just on certain things, but at the same time, I think the one that brings the most good together is the young lady right here. I am a Chester enthusiast. I've got some at home. I definitely feel more comfortable in here versus over there with the Berkshires. I like this gilt a lot. That gilt's hip and rear leg is so good, especially for this breed. I feel like she's the standout in that regard here. You're really a stout rear leg, but functions good. When you get behind those pigs, she just has such an advantage in that regard. I think her muscularity up top is good, and for a gilt of this size and maybe age, I think she's handling it pretty well in terms of her freshness and her extra shape and muscularity and look from the side very well. Young man right here is going to go second. I think a big-topped, muscular kind of a gilt that does a lot of things well. I think she's the second heaviest structured as she goes right away, and I definitely like that. Probably plants second best in terms of her hind leg motion within the top three. I think her look from the side's pretty good, even though for me, I'd like to fill her in her lower one-third of her rib cage just to help pull her into balance as you study her on the profile. Young lady right here that's got this third-place pig, I think there's a lot of breeding value in this gilt. That's the best-chested, squarest kneed one of the entire group, and I definitely like that. Her loin edge up top is really, really good. She just from the side maybe falls out of balance a little bit for me. I'd like to change her hind leg just a little bit as she goes right away. Young man right here that goes third really has a heavy-duty, stout-structured, very, very muscular one. Just needs to go better. I'd like to lengthen and level her out her hip as well. This is, without a doubt, the heaviest structured Chester gilt of this drive, maybe the heaviest structured gilt of the show so far. Really heavy-duty, and I like that. Just needs to move a little better, a little drier in terms of her rib cage, but she has so much breeding value. I like a lot of things about this one in terms of just moderation, rib, and muscle. I'd like to change her hip and hind leg and look from the side, but still a really strong class of Chesters. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Congratulations to Emma Ott of the Heartland FFA chapter for exhibiting your Grand Champion Chester White gilt.
little bigger class here in the Durocs to go through. I'm going to rework the top 5, and we're going to call those the purple ribbons. The young people out here will get the blues. Let's congratulate all those in the remaining in the ring. We're going to let them out rework the top 5. We're in the Duroc division. We got the top 5 kind of spread out, and they're a little easier to see once we get some of the other ones out of here. The young lady right here is going to win this particular drive of Durocs. I just like that gilt really well from the side. Heavy duty, long strided, really stout structured kind of gilt. Does a lot of things very well, and I think to me brings some width and some mass and some freshness, but is within herself as she goes off either end of her skeleton. I like the structural build of this gilt here that comes in second, or reserve in this particular case, I guess. Really flexible and good made in terms of her feet and her agility. I definitely like that. Her slope and angle to her shoulder is better than the gilt that comes in third. She needs more muscle, needs more stoutness, and that's where the hogs on either side of her are significantly better. The one here in third has got a neat look, really a tight-throated, good-headed one. I think that one's fresh in terms of her presentation. She's just a little too stilty and a little too short-strided, really off either end. The one here that comes next looks like a really good brood sow, long-strided, heavy-duty, and got an underline that count for days. Maybe just a little bigger, a little longer than I would prefer. The one here is definitely more moderate. I like her rib dimension. She strikes me as a little more mature, not quite as secure off her back leg, and as good in terms of her shape either. Really strong set of Durocs. Congratulations to all those kids. Only three here in the Hampshires to navigate through, and I do think there are some trade-offs between 1 and 2, but ultimately, I feel like this gilt right here just fits my kind a little better. I like her moderation and her slope off either end of her body very well. I like her the way her rib cage kind of fits in pretty smoothly out of her shoulder with great width, muscular gilt up top. It's got a really kind of expensive look as you study her on the profile. Young man right here has got a growthier one, a little bigger in terms of her kind. I like her muscle and her mass very well. Definitely opened up off either end of her skeleton, a little steeper in the way her hip is designed and kind of a little more upright on either end of her body, but at the same time probably goes just a square built out of her hind leg just in terms of travel as anything within the drive. Young lady right here has got a muscular, long-bodied, extended one that looks very feminine in terms of her head carriage and her underline. At the same time, maybe just doesn't pull into balance quite as well as you study her on the profile, but a very muscular gilt, really strong set there in the Hampshires. Congratulations to all those young people. Well, we have four here in the Herefords to navigate in this drive. Young man right here, he has the winner. I feel like that is a pretty clear-cut, decisive winner in this case. Really a muscular, good design, athletic kind of a gilt to begin in this particular drive. Young lady right here has got the second place or reserve champion in this case. She's a muscular one that's got some cutability and some shape to her. I shouldn't say that. I like her composition better. I think she's sound structured and athletic. Maybe not as heavy duty as my winner, but her composition is better than this gilt in 3. The gilt in 3 is really a fleshy, soft-centered one, a little heavier condition than I would prefer. I'd like to amp up her muscle shape, just maybe tone her down in terms of her flesh ever so slightly. The gilt here that follows next is a muscular kind of gilt, has good shape up top, good slope and angle to her shoulder. From the side, though, I thought she was the 4th best in a lot of ways. Congratulations to all those Hereford exhibitors. Very high quality pair in the Poland division here. Young man in the center is going to lead this particular drive. To me, that gilt is just really striking on the profile. That's a good kind of Poland gilt with great shape, good muscle, and presented extremely well. Young lady right here that comes next, a little different type, a little bigger, a little longer body type of Poland, a little more traditional, and I don't mind that at all. I think that's a sound structured one that's upright, or it got some stability, I should say, on either end of her body. Maybe it doesn't bend as good as my pick to win within this particular drive, but at the same time, I think both represent a lot of good. Congratulations to both those young people. Another big class in the spotted division. We're going to rework the top five and give them all purple ribbons. Young people that remain in the ring are going to get blues. Congratulations to all these kids that participated here in the spotted gilts. Really nice set of spots to go through, but at the same time, I think there is one that really daylights the competition. That's the young man right here. Just from the side, it's pretty clear she's here to win, but also she comes and goes. She's within herself and got a really good hip and hind leg, brings good stoutness with the right kind of muscle shape. Just a very good place to begin here in the spotted breed. I like this gilt really well that comes in second, maybe a little thinner in terms of her condition, not as chunky in terms of her center body, but I really like her hip and hind leg. The set to her hip and the hind leg probably keeps her over the hog that comes in third. Probably doesn't have as much to her in terms of the way her hip is designed, but at the same time, I think it's more functional than this gilt here. The one here next has got some far-reaching pieces, really a neat kind of neck, neat kind of head carriage in that gilt, really good at skin and hair, and I definitely like that. I just wish that gilt would blend a little bit better as she went right away. I'd like to change her hind leg as well. Young man's hog that comes next, it's unfortunate she shucked her hair, but I think this is a good pig, got some stoutness to her. I like her proportionality. She just needs to be presented just a little bit differently. It's unfortunate about her hair. The one here that comes next, the young man drives. Front 2/3 of this gilt are really, really good. I like her stoutness, her muscle, her shape up top, her look up front is really good. It's just as she turns and goes, she's a little shorter in terms of her hip, a little bowier out back than I would prefer. Congratulations to all those spotted exhibitors. Really a nice set of spots. I think here in the Yorkshire breed, lots of parts and pieces that are definitely high quality throughout, but I like this Gilt here to win this particular drive quite well. To me, she's the one that breaks away from the pack, that blends some width, but also some correctness, and without a doubt, she's the heaviest structured of the drive as well. I think really, and especially the way her shoulder and just chest lay onto her body and the width she has to her rib, along with her bone and just the ability to move off her hind leg is the place I think she's the winner in this case. Young lady right here, I like a lot of things about this Gilt. She's presented so well. I think she's got a really nice set to her hip and her hind leg, really strong in terms of her top line. And I think for this breed is a standout in that way. I like her head shape and her dimension in terms of her skull. It's just as she comes at you and you read her in her shoulder and center body, I felt like she was second best in this particular drive, especially within the top pair. Young man there's some things about this one I really like. Great headed, really attractive from the side. Her length of body is good. Extra shape to her shoulder and center body is better than the Gilt to win second. To me, she's just too short in her hip and different in the way she moves off her hip and hind leg. I just need to free her up, especially in her rear third. Young man there that comes in fourth, he's got a muscular kind of Gilt. It's extra stoutness to her down low. The same could be said as we move down the line. There's lots of things that I definitely like. We just need to make them more complete in terms of the totals, probably a little freer in terms of their movement as well. Congratulations to all these kids here in the Yorkshire division. Only a pair here in the Tamworths to go through. Probably a little different type and kind. The young man's hog fits me a little better. I like her design, her comfort level, and her extra bone very, very well. Young lady closer to me here is going to go reserve. A muscular kind of a Gilt. It's very broad up top. Maybe has more shape in terms of her muscularity. Not as good in terms of her bone and rear leg travel in comparison to my choice within that particular drive.
We are starting our overall top 5 purebred selection. Exhibiting the grand champion Berkshire breeding gilt is Adam Alfs of the Shickley FFA chapter. Your grand champion purebred Chester White gilt is exhibited by Emma Ott of the Heartland FFA chapter. Congratulations to your grand champion Duroc, exhibited by Marissa Palm of the Bishop Newman FFA chapter. The grand champion Hampshire breeding gilt is exhibited by Tate Pinky of the Oakland Craig FFA chapter. Your grand champion Hereford breeding gilt was exhibited by Levi Webb of the Central City FFA chapter. Exhibiting the grand champion Poland China breeding gilt from the West Point FFA chapter is Leighton Schroeder. Congratulations to Tucker Branderberry of the Alma FFA chapter, exhibiting the grand champion Spot breeding gilt. Your grand champion Yorkshire breeding gilt was exhibited by Ty Pinky of the Oakland Craig FFA chapter. What's our TAM's name? Congratulations to Devin Dose of the Hampton FFA chapter for exhibiting your grand champion All Other Breeds breeding gilt.
Let's give these kids a big round of applause, if you would, please. Definitely takes a lot to get to this point. Winning a breed at a state fair is definitely a challenge, and I think these kids have done a really nice job with their projects. Their skin and hair is dialed in, and obviously the quality in each one is very, very high. As we get out here, I think it is a difficult decision for me to just say that one needs to win. I kind of go back and forth between a few of these, and you could go a lot of different directions. I feel like when you get out here, ultimately the one that hit me probably the hardest as we've gone throughout the day, the one that suits me just in terms of proportionality and having that shape and extra dimension to the center part of her body, but blending all that together really, really well. And again, I think there's 3 of them that are in contention. The one that I prefer in this particular case is the young lady's Chester. Congratulations to her.
Congratulations to Emma Ott of the Heartland FFA chapter for exhibiting your Supreme Champion Purebred breeding gilt. Entering the ring now is Colin Nabuda of the West Point FFA chapter with the Reserve Chester White breeding gilt.
Here for Reserve, I think there's 2 of them that were in contention initially for me. The one that I like next best is the young lady's Berkshire. Congratulations to her. The last one that I felt like was in contention and in the mix to win overall, young man Spot's going to go third. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations to our top 5 purebred breeding gilt exhibitors. In number 1, first place purebred breeding gilt was exhibited by Emma Ott of the Heartland FFA chapter. The second place purebred breeding gilt was exhibited by Adam Alfs of the Shickley FFA chapter. Your third overall breeding gilt was exhibited by Tucker Branderberry of the Alma FFA chapter. Representing the Bishop Newman FFA chapter, exhibiting the fourth overall breeding gilt, purebred breeding gilt, was Marissa Palm. And the fifth overall purebred breeding gilt was exhibited by Leighton Schroeder of the West Point FFA chapter.
Well, I think a really good way to start here in the crossbreds. I'm going to pin 6 to rework. That'll get the purple ribbons, and then the 5 that are remaining will all be blues. So congratulations to these kids. Let's give them a good hand, if you would, please, as we rework the top 6. Nice way to get started here in the crossbreds, and I think there's lots of different shapes and sizes that you could choose from out here. Young man right here has got the place to begin for me. That's a really high quality gilt from the side. Her proportions are easily the best. Really a functional kind of gilt. Her bone and her muscle and just proportionality, as I mentioned, easily the best of the group. I would say as you compare her versus the gilt here in second, her chest view and just her comfort level out of her shoulder, just the way she's open in terms of her chest and mid body is better than this gilt right here. I really like this gilt's hip and hind leg and just her basic quality are really, really good. The length to her hip and just the function that she has out of her hip and hind leg is something that suits me very, very well. I think there's a lot of far-reaching pieces in this gilt that goes third right here. Really hairy, really stout structured. Got a neat kind of skull laid into her. I like her presentation in terms of just the way he's hustling there. I definitely appreciate that. Just relative to that gilt's kind, she doesn't suit me in terms of her hip design. A little too short stepping off either end of her skeleton. The one here that goes in fourth has got a longer kind of rump and a little more flexible kind of step off either end. I just didn't see as much quality in this gilt, but at the same time, I like her moderation. I like her rib cage. I think she's plenty muscular as well. There's a really stout-legged one here that goes next. Very muscular up top. A little different in the way she moves off of her hip and hind leg. The gilt here that follows, really moderate, really muscular. Just too short and compact for me. I'd like to stretch her hip out in particular to make her more ideal. Strong start there to the crossbreds. Congratulations to all them. Really a very good class to go through with lots of numbers here. We're going to rework the top 6. We're going to give all of them the purple ribbons. Young people out here will get the blues. Congratulations to these kids in the ring. Let's give them a hand if you would, please. I think a tough decision here in the upper end of things in this particular class. Lots of parts and pieces that I like about each one, though. Young man on the far side has got my pick to win within this particular drive. To me, that Gilt is the most genuine in terms of her width as she comes and goes in her lower skeleton and mid-body in particular. I still think she's as square and as genuine from top to bottom really as anything within the drive. Really great shape to her shoulder and mid-body, and fits and blends very nicely as you study her shoulder right into her forearm, both in her top and bottom line. Probably not as rocket necked as anything in second and third, but at the same time, the set to her hip and back leg and width and just power underneath is something that I really appreciate. This gilt right here is going to go second. Really a feminine kind of headed, good design kind of a gilt from the side. I like her height of shoulder and just her length of body. Really suit me very, very well. I think that gilt's presented so nicely as well. I'd like to crack that gilt open in terms of her chest and just her real heart and center body. Give her more muscular kind of a look, but at the same time, really presented nicely. And as she goes right away, could probably square her up just a notch. The gilt that goes in third right here has got great skin and hair, tremendous kind of look. She really exudes a female kind of a character as you study her from the side. Really, really mobile, really flexible. Probably 2 and 3 are both stronger on their front feet than the gilt that I used. But at the same time, this gilt here in third, I have to make her more opened up in terms of her lower skeleton, both as she comes and goes. This blue one here that goes in fourth, really stout structured, probably has more honest, genuine shape than the gilt that goes in third. But at the same time, I thought she was just fourth best in this particular class in terms of quality. Really a muscular one, just a little upright that goes in 5 right here, but I like that one's kind and what she brings to the table. I think this young lady does a great job presenting her gilt that comes next. This is a heavy duty, kind of good looking kind of a gilt. I just need to square her up in terms of her width and her shape off either end, but I think you do a nice job showing her. Congratulations to all those kids there in Class 2. We're here in Class 3 in the Crossbred Gilts. I think lots of parts and pieces that remain out here in the ring. Plenty of stoutness and muscularity. I just like to make these a little more correct. We're going to give everybody in the ring still a blue ribbon, and the ones that we're going to rework in the top 5 are going to get a purple. Let's congratulate everybody here in Class 3 in the Crossbred Gilts, if you would, please. I think a tough class here to go through here, and I think you could place this a lot of different ways. Ultimately, I'm going to start with the young man right here to win this particular drive. Really a good-looking, stout-skulled, really big-legged kind of a gilt. Really a key advantage she has is her correctness of build. I feel like she's as good off her rear leg and as comfortable up front really as anything. She is way too skinny-bodied for me. That's really my hold-up, and if you want to beat her in that way, because the gilts in 2 and 3 are much bigger ribbed and got much more to them. This gilt here in second, really big ribbed, really muscular. They're so stout, and I definitely like that. Gets a little shorter in her hip, a little choppier in terms of her stride, maybe a tad bit upright in her shoulder as well. Young lady's black one right there, insanely stout-legged. I definitely like lots of parts and pieces about her width and her muscle and her mass. Just gets a little too wide for me, especially from behind. Wants to toe in quite a bit more than I like up front. The gilt right here that comes next has got immaculate skin and hair. I definitely like that. A beautiful headed kind of a gilt. It's got good muscle up top. It's a little flatter in terms of her rib cage, a little different in terms of her top line fine, and she definitely needs more bone, and she goes right away. This one right here is big ribbed and a gilt that looks like she'll lay down and have a lot of pigs and nurse them really well. I definitely like that. She's not as stout structured, not as correct in terms of the shape of her hip and her hind leg either, but I think that gilt's a really high quality kind of breeding female for that young lady. Another very, very competitive class. We're going to let these kids out. Let's give them a big round of applause, if you would, as they head out the gate. I think a really high-quality group that split themselves off from the competition that will remain in the ring. But this one is the one that needs to start for me. Really a nice gilt that's heavy-duty, but also very functional. I really like the way she moves off her hip and hind leg. A big-chested, kind of a broad-bodied, muscular kind of gilt that puts together the look of one and then the extra mass of another with good length out through her hip and the right kind of maturity pattern for me. Young lady right here is going to go second. That hog is just absolutely enormously big-legged. I like how stout she is in terms of her rear leg and her back foot in particular. Got a monster forearm to go with it. She's extremely wide, extremely muscular, and probably maybe a little too much on that front. She doesn't really get round. She's just a little too short on either end of her body, in particular her hip for me. This blue gilt here that goes next, she really has a great look. I love that hog's head carriage and look from her shoulder forward. I like her muscularity and her skin and hair really, really well. I just felt like as the drive wore on, she got a little straighter in terms of her hind leg and probably didn't have as much to her as some of the others. Young lady right here that goes in fourth, that hog's hip and hind leg is awesome. I like her stoutness of feature really well, and her presentation is as good as anything. She just needs to come with more width through her chest and her center body. This one definitely does all those things in terms of width and mass and extra dimension. Really heavy duty, really functional. To me, a little more mature up and through her front end, a little rounder in the way her hip is made as you study her on the profile. I like the stoutness of this this gilt that comes next, extremely muscular, extremely massive. I just need her to fit together and be a little smoother in terms of her look to move higher in class. Congratulations to all those kids there in Class 4. Really good set and lots of numbers here in Class 5 of these crossbred gilts. I think lots of very nice pigs that are remain in the ring that we're going to let out. We're going to give them all blues in terms of ribbons. Let's give them a big round of applause as we do that, though, if you would, please. think a tough decision in the upper end of this particular class. I go back and forth, but ultimately, I like this Gilt here to win this particular drive. To me, she's the one that comes with the right kind of width and extra shape, but she's very true in terms of her skeleton. I really love the center part of her shoulder and just midsection in terms of her middle body there. Really expressive up top and just has a really explosive kind of build to her as you study her in the center part of her rib. Super heavy bone, and I definitely like that. My issue with her is probably she's not as level-hipped, even though compared to the ideal isn't terrible. I'd maybe squeeze in or stifle just a little bit as she goes right away, even though she's not terrible in that way. Young man right here that goes in second, this is the better-headed one that ties her head and neck both higher at the top and the bottom of her base of her neck into her shoulder. I think that Gilt's got a really neat silhouette, better in terms of her hip design as you study her from the side, probably a little truer off her back foot as she goes right away. My issue with her is her rib cage as she goes away, a little too flat and upright, and she's definitely too skinny in terms of her chest. The one here that goes in third, really heavy duty, extremely muscular. I love this Gilt's presentation in terms of her skin and hair as well. I really appreciate the job this young man has done with her. She's a little upright for me, a little stilty, a little drier in terms of her rib design. The next pair that come definitely have enough muscle, width, and mass. They just need to be more correct on either end of their body in particular to move any higher. Congratulations to all these kids here in Class 5. I look forward to the champion division here in the Crossbreds. I'll announce them out. You want me to announce them out?
As we enter our Crossbred Breeding Gilt Top 5 drive, coming into the ring from Class 1, Leighton Schroeder, West Point FFA.
They're over here. That's okay.
Out of Class 2, Colton Knievel from West Point FFA. From Class 3, Colton Knievel, West Point FFA. Out of Class 4, Ava Carnop from West Point FFA. And your Class 5 winner from Loganview FFA chapter, Chase Hartman.
Thank you. What's a really nice set of Gilts out here that won their respective classes, all 5 of them. Let's give these kids a big round of applause and congratulations, if you would. I think when we get out here, I think that it becomes a little closer between a pair of these that are a little on the probably different ends in terms of their maturity, but at the same time, I'm comfortable with using either one. To me, there is one that just breaks away from the pack. She's just got such a neat kind of look, but she blends so much of the mass that I like together with it. She's really comfortable in terms of her skeleton, and she really just defines proportionality. And at the end of the day, that's probably what I like as much as anything. Young man here from Class 1 is going to win. Congratulations to him.
Your champion crossbred breeding gilt exhibited by Leighton Schroeder from West Point FFA. In the ring, coming into the ring, number 2 from that class is Leah Hartman from Loganview FFA.
I think for reserve, there is one that I considered using for champion. Maybe this wasn't quite as neat and fresh and shapely today, but at the same time, she brings so much mass and really is incredibly fluid in terms of her structural build. Young lady right here is going to be reserve.
From Class 4, Ava Carnop from West Point FFA chapter. Coming into the ring is Lila Krupichka from North Platte.
I think there is one that falls in line for third pretty easily for me. She's just radically stout, and I like the extra width she has, but still remains really pretty long in terms of her hip and fluid from behind. Young man from the last class is going to go third.
Your third place breeding gilt exhibited by Chase Hartman out of class number 5. Easton Raber coming into the ring from Ashland Greenwood FFA. Colton Knievel from class 3 is your 4th place breeding gilt crossbred. Out of class 2, Emma Ott was your 5th place overall breeding gilt. Top 5 breeding gilts, please stay in the south ring. As we finish our breeding show, let's put our hands together one more time for our judge today. Mr. Brock Heron. Coming into the ring from the Purebred division, your champion Chester White and champion Purebred Breeding Gilt, exhibited by Emma Ott from the Heartland FFA chapter. And your top Crossbred Breeding Gilt, exhibited by Leighton Schroeder from the West Point FFA chapter.
We're here in the overall division. I think both of these represent their divisions quite well. And honestly, you could probably go either direction. Ultimately, the one that I prefer in this group is the Cross. Congratulations. He's going to win.
Your Supreme Champion Gilt, exhibited by Leighton Schroeder from West Point. Coming into the ring as the second place Crossbred Breeding Gilt, Ava Carnop from West Point.
I think it's close once again here for reserve. We're going to keep the crosses together. Congratulations to her.
Ava Carnop with your reserve Supreme Gilt. Into the ring is Chase Hartman from Loganview with his Class 5 Breeding Gilt. Chase Hartman, third place overall, Breeding Gilt. From Class 2, Colton Knievel from West Point, FFA. The Chester will be your fourth place overall, Breeding Gilt. Adam Elfs with the Berkshire Breeding Gilt from Shickley. And your Berkshire will be your fifth place overall, Breeding Gilt. That concludes our Breeding Gilt show for today. Again, a thank you to our judge, Mr. Brock Heron, and all of the ring crew that has assisted to make this show go today.